So, literally earlier in this call, I got to point out that it was your first time doing a cooperative game, but we are right back there with another fully cooperative from the get go game, and this is Berserk, the board game. Can you tell us a little bit more about, I guess, for those who don't know, let's start with a little bit of background around Berserk, and then the board game and the mechanics.
Yeah, sure. So Berserk is a manga which was launched almost 30 years now, 30 years ago, by Kentaro Miura. And we could say it's like the DNA of most of the dark fantasy game you can have, like, be it for like Kingdom Death Monster, be it Dark Souls, Elden Ring. I mean, dark fantasy basically was born with Berserk and a few other licenses, which were like pretty unknown at the time. But yes, this one is pretty big. It's probably, I think it's something like 42 or 43 now mangas in
Okay.
Japan. With a great, let me do some advertising for something else, Dark Horses Collector, which were like very, very good. Yeah, so it's something which is very, very dark. I mean, it's not something I would read if I was in a bad mood. That seems like it's not a good thing to do. And it's a universe we were really fond of also, and we really wanted to do a game about that. And we had like the perfect opportunity to doing it, so we're very happy with this.
And then as far as the mechanics of it, like what's the general, like I know it's cooperative, but more
Yep.
than that, what is it?
Okay, so it's a scenario and campaign-based games where you will be playing Guts, which is the main hero,
Okay.
and also all the band, which is with him. He has a few companions.
Okay.
All of them will have a unique deck of cards that you can play during their turn. And in your turn, you will be able to play one, two, or three cards, depending on what you want to do. And on all these cards, you will have some attack dice with like different type of dice, stronger one and weaker one. You will have a certain amount of movement and a certain amount of defense, and you will be able to accumulate all these dice and points and be able to spread them during your turn as you want. I mean, if you have like 10 movement points, you can make one movement of three, and then we're going to do one of two after. I mean, you can manage your pool as you want, and you will also have some effect on the card. I mean, each one is unique, and you will do a pile of cards, and the one on the top, which is the effect you will be able to make. So you have like a lot of, it's a very intuitive and easy system to manage, but you'll have a lot of decision to make during your turn. Also, if you're playing only one card, there would be like no drawback during your turn. If you're playing one, if you're playing two cards, you will have 2 points of fatigue, and if you're playing three cards, you will have 4 points of fatigue, because you have both a fatigue track and a health point track on your dashboard, and if one of these two is going to zero, you're out of the game. So yeah, so thing is, you will really have to decide if you want to push yourself harder and doing more stuff, but bring you closer to being out of the game, or if you just want to be a little more reserved and being able to do something else like after. So it's like a game when it's very easy to be able to play. I mean, in 5 minutes you can know how to play, but you will have a lot of decision to make like every turn of the game, because it's a pretty hard game. I mean, it's not an easy one. It's really a dark vibe, so it's you will be probably outnumbered and outpowered also. So it's a tough one.
So intuitive but challenging.
Yeah,
Now, Berserk has been around, you mentioned already, for over 30 years, inspiration
yeah.
for a lot of dark fantasy. This is the first time being made into a board game. How did that happen? How did you go from, I guess, not making Berserk to making Berserk?
Yeah, I mean, we would said 90% of success is showing up. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we were just talking with Akusensha, another Japanese society, about it, and we show them what we did for Batman, and they
Okay.
were really surprised by how close it was to the original RP. What we were able to do with miniatures on such a small scale, because usually they're more used, like to big statue, like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is very expensive stuff, which help you think board game is not that expensive after all. Uh, so we talk a lot with them. We start to show what we wanted to do, and what was the hardest part with them. Um, that's totally fine for me. Is convincing them they will be doing something very truthful to the whole license, because especially now the first author is dead. Thing is, they're really trying to have his legacy intact, I would say. So anything we're doing from the game is like very, very well looked, by the owners, and we're trying to make something which is like even more truthful than what we did with Batman. So
Cool. And you mentioned the miniatures, which is a good segue to my next question. And I don't know if there have been other manga board games with heavy feature miniatures, but at least on your end, you guys have done a lot of miniatures in a lot of different games. What's and the answer might be no difference at all, but what's been different as far as trying to approach bringing a manga to life and bringing those miniatures to life? Like, it's a very different style. Like, how have you approached that?
yeah, it was very interesting because, as you said, first, I mean, it's something which was like 30 years of art, and what he did at the beginning is not what he did like 20 years after.
Yeah.
So, thing is, we really tried to be as close as possible as what you can see in the manga, so people will, will see a lot of poses. They already thought. I mean, it will have a home vibe. I mean, for more people knowing the manga already. But what was very, very hard and different is working on the faces. Because usually, in manga, it looks
very expressive.
Yeah, very expressive and pretty flat. You sometimes you just have some noise. So it was pretty tough, and we had a lot of time. I mean, for sculptors at first, it was like having a few headaches. I mean, it was very hard, to pull something which looks like we wanted to. Now we run that. We're really good and very happy with it. But yeah, it was very, very different, as you said, from doing other stuff we could have made. Yeah.
Perfect. And then lastly, is there a follower gift in the campaign?
Not yet, but you'll have one, before we launch, yeah.
Perfect. And with that, let's go ahead and wrap this up.